Okay, it's good. So then, very good morning and welcome to the presentation on studying in Germany. Yes, it is working now. Okay, good. So, as I said, I will explain to you a little bit about life in Germany, university situation here, employment probability or potential, and then how you can do your master here in Germany. Now, you probably all know, or at least have heard about Mrs. Merkel. Ms. Merkel is still our head of government, and it was her government that realized, like almost 15 years ago now, that Germany is gonna face a big problem. And the big problem is the decreasing population. And that's why we need people like you who want to come to Germany, who get their education here, and who want to settle here. Because combined with the option or with the push of promoting this, it was also made more and more aware that you can stay here long term in Germany. So when you have a degree from Germany, of course, we don't force you to stay, but you're welcome to stay here in Germany and to have your life here. You will get a work permit and you will get a permanent residence. That's why I have the photograph of the playground there, just to indicate that you can have, if you want, a long-term life here. Why do I have the biotech and the high-tech car picture here? The biotech is basically an area that has become very, very popular over the last few years. And it got a real boost this year because, as most of you probably know, the two founders of the BioNTech company who developed the vaccination together with Pfizer are actually from Germany, but they are not Germans. They are international students like you are. They came to Germany, they learned the language, they went to university, they did their PhD, they founded a company, and now they're helping to save the world. Then, of course, we have the cars as well. That has always been very popular, and it still is very popular, that people want to work in the car manufacturing, developing area. And of course, with all of this hard work, there is a life outside of university and work here in Germany, which is why I have the football and the beer here. Not saying that you have to play football and drink beer. There's plenty other sports, whatever you want. Then, of course, you know all of these big German companies, from robots like Kuga to cars like BMW or Lufthansa, or the electronic companies like Bosch and Siemens and so on. Those companies like to hire international people like you because you have English, which the Germans don't have. And I'll come back on that in a minute, because English alone will not help you. But you also have cultural competence. And of course, these companies do not only operate in Germany, they have branches all around the world. So when you do start working for one of these German companies, you are not stuck to Germany. You can go to any other country as well. So why Koblenz? Koblenz is the starting point of your future in Germany, because Koblenz is where ISL is, the building you can see behind me, and Koblenz is where you will be starting to learn the language. The language in Germany is German, and it's German only. Without German, you will not be able to live here. You will not be able to work. You will not be able to do an adequate degree. I elaborate on that later, but a starting point is learning the German. So for that, we decided to stay in a small city, which is called Koblenz, but it's on the main train line, so it's easy to get back to Frankfurt if you ever want to travel home. It's a city where you can walk everywhere. It's a very safe place, and we don't speak a dialect here, which means the German that you learn in the classroom is the same German that you hear outside on the street. So it makes it a lot easier to learn that. Now, why do people come to Germany? Or why is Germany so popular? And why should you study at a public university as opposed to a private university? The public universities in Germany are the higher level universities. Only if people don't make it into a public university, they would consider going into a private university. The public universities are the ones that are recognized by the government. They all have the same standard, the same standing, the same quality. They do, however, expect you to speak German. 12% of all of the students in Germany are from outside the EU already. Yeah, so you won't be alone. You will always find somebody of your own background. The degree, as I said, is recognized in Germany and of course outside of Germany. So this label that you know from goods made in Germany is also valid for a German degree. It's a safe country. The living expenses are very low. You have huge job opportunities and you have no tuition fee in the public universities. The new language that you learn may look like a little bit of a hurdle to you at the beginning because you have to spend 1 year learning the language, but it's actually a very useful language because it's not only spoken in Germany. There are over 185 million people on this planet that speak German. Inside the EU, Germany is actually number one, taking into account the quality of education, the cost, and very important, the life and career perspectives. And now, why do people come to Germany? Of course, when the German government tries to push this, they also do a survey and try to find out why people come here. So here you can see that 35% of the people come here because it has no tuition fees. Fair point, yeah, I will do exactly the same. 29% come because of the top quality of education. And the good thing is that that number is going up every year. So the word is spreading that Germany has good quality. Now, 20% of the people come here because they think they can study in English. That is a misperception that may work in some areas and in some cities and for some people, but in general, it's very difficult. We very often get emails like the one that I put here. I reached Germany last week to study a master, but I want to change because it's very difficult here without the language. And it's not only very difficult, it's long-term basically impossible because you won't be able to get a job, not a part-time job, and most certainly not a long-term job. The good thing is, however, that almost 70% of the people that come here come with the intention of staying here. And in the end, it's actually 83% that decide to stay here. So some people come here with the aim of going back home, but once they're here, they begin to like it. So the why public university? As I said, we have a decreasing population. And the decreasing population shows in the universities because the numbers of university students are going down, but also the numbers of people going into work. Yeah? We have lots and lots of positions that are unfilled. And they're not only unfilled for a day or two, they are filled long term. Last week, I talked to somebody who said, oh, all of this Corona and COVID has increased the unemployment rate. And I was kind of thinking about it. And then I looked up and I was right in my feeling that in Germany, it actually didn't increase. Yeah. And then I kind of did more research and more reading and I talked to people. There are no companies in Germany that let anybody go because of this Corona crisis, because all of the human resource people are saying, well, if we let them go now, then they get hired by another company. And then when we are full back working, we can't find the people anymore. So the companies here are holding on to their people. Yeah? If there is a crisis or not, no company would let anybody go because it's really important to keep your people. So the education in Germany is seen as an investment and not as a product that we sell by charging fees and then sending you home again. The people that are working now and are paying tax now, they pay for the education in university now. Later, when you have a job, you will pay with your taxes for the next generation. So it's creating a win-win situation for everybody by offering free education to you and to Germany potential future employees. Now, the government target was 350,000 students by the year 2030. We have long reached that number. So now they have to put out a new target because we need more people. So the unemployment rate in Germany amongst all graduates is 2.5%. And I'm looking here at people who can actually speak German, because if you don't have German, you are basically unemployable here. Yeah? If you have a master degree, and you want to get a job that's adequate to your degree, which means you're working somewhere in mid-management where you have people working for you, but still, of course, have also a boss, and you cannot communicate with them, then it's getting very, very difficult. So assuming you can speak German and you have a good degree from Germany, okay, the word good was not good. A degree with which it's easy to find a job, yeah? Because if you study Greek mythology, then you're probably one of these 2.5% that can't find a job because it's a bit more difficult. But if you have a job in, say, engineering, science, business, economics, marketing, all of those areas, then you will find a job. So as I said, only 2.5% of all the graduates are unemployed, either because they studied something where it's difficult to find a job, or some of them, for family reasons, don't want to work or take time off or something. The average time to find a job adequate to your degree is 3.5 months, again, for all academics. Now, what salary can you expect? At a bachelor level, the average salary is 41,000. At a master level, 46,700. That's the average. If you're in the engineering area, it's of course a lot more because the engineers are in particular demand. And 10 years later, you almost double it, yeah? And then of course it goes up subsequently to that as well. As I said already, when you graduate, you get a work permit, and after that, you get your permanent residence to work in Germany. So in Germany, the master programs are consecutive master programs, which means a master in Germany builds on a previous bachelor. That is a very old-fashioned way, I know, because before the Bologna process, when we had to start calling our programs bachelor and master, we didn't really have that division at all. Yeah, you did one degree and you stayed there until the end. So Germany, you can only do consecutive masters, which means you continue the same subject that you have in your bachelor. So if you're an electrical engineer, you cannot come to Germany and do a master's in business administration because you're missing the basics, okay? So on average, or most of the programs in Germany at the bachelor level, you earn 180 or 210 credit points, which is something that you should have as well to start your master here then as well. Depending on how many credit points you have in your bachelor, the master duration will be more or less determined by that. Yeah? So if you have a master that has 180 credit points, which is fairly common abroad as well, then you would do another 120 credit points here in Germany to complete your master level, which is around 4 semesters. Yeah, the semester duration is very flexible in Germany because it's up to you how many units you do per semester. So the less credit points you have in the bachelor, the longer your master, the more credit points you have, the shorter. Okay. Now there are courses in Germany, they are called diploma courses. And they are nothing compared to the diploma that you know. The diploma courses were the old-fashioned way of studying in Germany, the good old Diplom-Ingenieur. Yeah. So some of the universities are bringing that back again. The diploma courses in Germany are fully equivalent to a master program, but you say at the beginning that you're doing the whole program. So you do the whole 10 semesters as one diploma, but what you get at the end is exactly the same. Okay. Now, as part of your bachelor, or in your case, your master thesis, master course, you have to write a thesis at the end. The thesis in Germany is usually written based on a project, and that project is done in a company. Now, if you don't speak German, that is very, very difficult because you may not find a supervisor in a company that can do that project with you. Yeah? So another reason to learn German before you start your master. Now, the number of programs offered in Germany has gone up over the last years, and the number is enormous. Yeah, as you can see here, we have over 9,000 different bachelor courses. We have over 9,500 different master courses, plus 1,600 others, like the diploma, for example, or state examinations. Okay, so you see, you have a big choice here. Yeah, you can choose pretty much everything you want, as long as it's in the same area as your bachelor, because otherwise you're not going to have the basis to build the bachelor on. Now, are there English taught programs in Germany? Yes, there are, but they are restricted, and those programs were actually introduced not for you, but for Germans. The German industry demanded from the universities and from the government to offer some English-speaking courses so that the German students who have no exposure to English can actually train in English and get better in English. Now, just to give you some numbers, we have around 550 universities in Germany. 180 of them offer some English courses. Now, some of these universities may only offer one of them. Yeah? So this includes every university that offers even one partially taught English course. So you can see you're very restricted there already. Of the 9,700 different master courses we have, there is only about 1,500 offered partially or fully in English. The majority of them, 85%, are offered by private universities. So the number of English taught programs in public universities is extremely small, for the reasons that I tried to explain all along, that it is necessary in Germany to speak German to be able to get an adequate job, which is also the reason why for most of the English taught programs, even though they are offered in English, the university still demands you to have at least a B2 level of German before you even start an English-speaking program. There are very, very, very few programs where you can do this with English only. The point of that, as I said, is questionable, because you won't even be able to get a part-time job if you don't speak German here. Okay, so the entry requirements for you to do the master. As I said already, the masters are consecutive. Now, there are very, very few master programs. Again, they were offered for Germans who are not consecutive masters, but for that you need to have a German Ausbildung, yeah, which means you have to have worked in Germany for a certain amount of years, gone through a certain step. Then there are a few master programs that are not building on your direct bachelor degree, but they won't work for you, which is why we only look at the consecutive masters. So has to be in the same subject area. The university where you studied needs to be accredited in Germany, and you must have been eligible to study in Germany based on your school leaving certificate as well. Yeah. So if you have a school leaving certificate, and I had a few of these cases recently again, which would not allow you to study in Germany, but you could study at home, then you're not qualified to do a master here. Yeah. Then you would have to start at the bachelor again. So you must have a university that's accredited in Germany. We can check that for you. And your school leaving certificate or your entry requirement with which you started the bachelor at home should have allowed you to study here in Germany as well. Then your bachelor degree, you must have an average grade that corresponds to the German 2.5, which is roughly 75% of the points in your bachelor. Now, there's a very complicated formula that I put down there for you on, as I said, a rough guideline is the 75%. Yeah. So an average in Germany, we have grades from 1 to 4, 1 being the best. You must have a 2.5 to be able to study in Germany a master. As I said, that's equivalent to about 75% of the points in your bachelor. So if you have a GPA system of 10, you obviously need 7.5. If you have a GPA of 4, then it's around 3. Okay. Now we come to the so-called restricted subjects. That is medicine, psychology, law, education, pharmacy, veterinary, and a few more. Those courses are not taught at bachelor and master level in Germany, but as a so-called state examination, which means there is no entry possible at a master level for any of these courses. Okay. Now, what do you do if, according to this very complicated formula up there, you don't have the 2.5? then you don't need to give up. There are still ways. Depending on how good you are, you can still study here, yeah? And you will have to apply for a master course, for a bachelor course, but you may not necessarily need to start at the very beginning again, of course, yeah? So if you have, instead of 75%, maybe only 72, then you may get admission into a higher semester bachelor, where you redo some of the bachelor modules here in Germany to improve your grade, and then you can do the master afterwards, yeah? So if you're interested in studying, we would evaluate your documents. We check if your university is accredited, if your school leaving certificate would have enabled you to study here, and we see if your grades are good enough, if you match the German 2.5. So then I have the way into university here. And when I prepared this presentation, I was thinking, should I take out the irrelevant piece for you? And then I said, no, I leave it just to show you the advantage that you have, yeah? Because if you, for example, come out of a 12-year school system and you want to start at a bachelor level in Germany, you have to go the left-hand side, which means you have to learn the language first, then do the foundation year, and then do the university. In your case, when you have a completed bachelor degree already from a recognized university, of course, then you can skip the foundation year, which means you only need to learn German up to a C1 level, which allows you to start your studies here in Germany at a German taught course, or if you then at that point prefer to go back to an English one, that's also okay, because then your German is there anyway. So to learn German to a C1 level, which is equivalent to an IELTS 5.5 roughly, will take you about 40 weeks, because in our school we teach 30 hours a week, yeah? So we evaluate, we get you an admission, and that is very important, yeah? So you come here with an admission, because without that admission, you can't apply for the visa. Then you come to ISL, you learn your German, and at the end of the German course, we sit down with you and we do the final registration in any of the universities you want in Germany. The initial admission is totally non-binding. It is only for you to get the student visa to come to Germany. The time that you have in the German course, you can use to travel around in Germany, to look at different universities and decide what exactly you want to study, of course, within the limits and the boundaries of your bachelor, and most importantly, where you want to study. You have a free choice of the city, yeah? Because if you qualify for one, you qualify for most others. The university itself is totally free, so your master course, or even if you have to do some of the bachelor again, you will not have to pay any tuition fee. Of course, you have to pay living expenses, but when you're in the university, you are allowed to work. And since you all have a bachelor degree already, finding a job will be easy for you. So looking at the language requirements again, the 1,200 hours, we split into modules of 5 weeks, which means we start a new course every 5 weeks. You can start the A1 course online with us, because the embassies expect you to have at least an A1 level when you apply. And then you move on to A2, to B1, B2, C1. Yeah? The A2 and the B1, you have an option of doing either in Germany or at home. As of the B2, we only teach here in the school. And just because of the situation at the moment, we are teaching all of the courses in the school. Yeah, so all the teaching is back to on-site, and it's the same for the universities after the summer break. Only the very big lectures are staying online. Everything else, like the smaller seminars, the tutorials, the lab work, everything is back then on site. So the 40 weeks then would be your first step. As I said, you can do some of that at home. The rest is done here. Once you pass the exam at the end of the C1, which is called Testdarf, then you can move to university. When you come to Germany, you do, of course, need a place to stay. So we have fully furnished apartments. They have everything you need, from bed linen to towels, washing machine, microwave, pots, plates, and so on. All of these apartments are in walking distance to the school. You can have single rooms or shared rooms. The last important piece is the financial requirements. As I said already, university is free and you are allowed to work there as well. During the language course, you are not allowed to work, which means you need to have a so-called block account. You need that even if you come to Germany to go to an English taught master where you don't have to learn the language. Yeah, so the block account is a must for everybody when coming to Germany or when applying for the visa. So this is irrelevant of whether you will actually listen to my advice and learn German or not. Yeah, you need to have a block account with 10,332 euro. It's in Germany. Every month you can take 861 out of this to spend for your rent, your food, your clothes, your telephone, whatever you need. Okay. In the first year, you're not allowed to work. Later, you can. So what's the step-by-step procedure? We check your documents, we get you an offer letter, then you open the bank account and you make the visa appointment, which is exactly the visa requirements as well that you need. You need the admission from the university, the acceptance to the language course, you need a rent contract, health insurance, and a block account, and of course the motivation letter. We help you with all of this. We provide those documents. We do a visa interview training, and then you can go and apply for the visa, come to Germany, start with learning the language, and then move on to do your master here in Germany. We have over 250 students that come to us every year. As I said, you can apply the whole year round, you can start the whole year round, and then either the following October or the following April, depending on when you are finished, you would start your university, because the German universities have two starting points, April and October, with a registration date for July and January. Okay, that was my presentation. We will now look at questions, and I would like to ask you to put the questions in the Q&A box. Then I don't need to jump between the chat and the question box. Okay, so any questions that you have, please put them in the Q&A box, and I'll try my very best to answer them for you. Okay. In the meantime, I just, because there is no question there yet, I just want to stress again the importance of the German language. Yeah. Last, we had a presentation from one of the universities here with us in the school recently, and the professor there, he said to the students as well, without me asking him, the two important criteria for getting a job in Germany are German and good grades. Yeah. So without German, it is really, really difficult to find an adequate job here. As I said, the English taught programs are there, but they were mainly introduced for Germans to practice their English. Okay. Okay. Part-time jobs available for non-EU students. Yes, there are lots of jobs here, and whether you get a job or not does not depend on your nationality. As soon as you start university, you are eligible to work for 20 hours a week. And as long as you are able to speak German, you will not have a problem finding a job. Quite the opposite. The companies are very, very interested in getting students to work for them, because it's the best way for them to find their future employees. Yeah, there is no easier way than to test somebody as when they are a student, because you don't have long-term contracts or anything. So yes, you can work there, you will find a job, and very often the students end up working full-time in the same company then where they do their part-time jobs. But it is not important if you're an EU student or non-EU student to get a job. Once you are at the university, you are allowed to work. Which months does the admission process start? We can do that the whole year round. I can get admission letters at any time throughout the year. The application to university then is January 15th or July 15th after you complete your German. Okay. What you should not do is try to work backwards, yeah, and say, okay, January 15th, I need to have my German course finished. I need 40 weeks, so that's 10 months, which means I need to start in February, so I need to apply for my visa in December. Because if anything goes wrong with that, you may miss the deadline just by 1 week or so, yeah. Whenever you're ready, start working on the documents, start working on the visa. Then when you have the visa approved, then you can decide when you want to travel. A GPA of 7.5 is required if you want to go directly to a master. That is correct, yeah? That was the 75%. If you have less than that, then depending on the grades and on the subjects, we can potentially get you an admission into a higher bachelor. To decide that, I would need to see your documents. If you have really poor grades across the board, then it may not make sense, because whatever subject you get accredited here for the higher bachelor, the grades will also be transferred and accredited. Yeah? So that only makes sense if you have a number of subjects that are very good, and then the few that are not so good, you redo here again. During language course, you're not allowed to work. That's correct. House spent living. Oh, no. Misunderstanding. You spent 8,100 euro is for the language course. Then you have an additional 10,332 in the block account. That is your money, your living expenses. Yeah. So you make two payments, one to the language school and one to yourself to the bank account. And out of this 10,332, you pay your living expenses every month. You have 861. The fees for the language course are not paid out of the block account, yeah? That you pay directly to us. Okay. Yes, the block account is necessary to get the visa, yeah? The embassy will ask for a proof, so you have to have the block account open, you have to have the money paid into the account. That is equally important to the motivation letter, your interview, or the admission letter to the university. You need to have the whole documents completed, okay? Let me go back to the master admission with the 75%. If you have your bachelor completed and you don't make the 75% or the 7.5 GPA, then you get an admission to a bachelor. You come to Germany, and then the university where you study will decide which of the subjects or the courses that you did will get accredited. The university will not decide that with you being back in India or in Pakistan or the UAE or somewhere, yeah? They will only decide that when you are here in Germany, because this is an enormous amount of work for them, and they only do that once you register at this university, so that they know that you will actually really come there, okay? The amount of the block account. Okay, yeah, no problem. I'll say it again. The block account is 10,332. That is 861 per month multiplied by 12 gives you the required amount for the block account, okay? Once you're in university, then you don't need to show the block account anymore in Germany if you have a job. If you don't have the job, or if you don't want to work for whatever reason, then of course you need to top up the block account again. But pretty much every student in Germany works, yeah, because working is not only good for the money, which of course is important, but it's more important and also important for the experience and the contacts that you get. Okay, good. I can't see any other questions there at the moment. I will send an email to all of you later, once Zoom makes it available to me. And then, of course, you can get back to me with any questions you have. When you do write an email, don't just write, "Ma'am, I'm interested." Write what you're interested in and tell me what you want to study. Show me your documents, yeah, so that we can really help you. Okay. Ausbildung. Okay, there's a question about Ausbildung. Ausbildung is a little bit difficult in Germany because to do an Ausbildung is something that you do after secondary school, yeah? So not at the master level. To get a visa for that, you need to have a job contract. I cannot go into detail here now. So whoever wrote this, please get back to me on email, and then we can talk about that by email, okay? Okay, the GPA. Yeah, okay. Let's try again. You need to have a good grade to be able to do a master in Germany. The good grade means a German grade of 2.5. That is equivalent to around 75% of your points. Yeah. So if you come out of a GPA system of 10, then you need 7.5 because that is 75%. Yeah. If you come out of a system where the maximum GPA is 4, then you would need 3. There are also some where the maximum GPA is 20, then of course you need 15. Yeah. So if this is a rough guideline, send me your documents, I can evaluate in detail, and then it gets calculated with this rather complicated formula that was there, but the 75% is a good average. Okay, good. Then I would like to thank all of you for joining us this morning. I hope I could give you some useful information. As I said, feel free to contact me by email, then we can clarify any other questions that may come to your mind at any stage during the day or during the process. Then I wish you all a very nice day, and I hope to hear from some of you in the near future, and then maybe see some of you in Germany later this year.